Hi, everyone. I've got the lovely Anna from Virtual Nova in the studio with me today, and we're going to talk about everything neurodiverse. And I'm so delighted to have you share your story because it's a new discovery for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite recent. I got diagnosed only a year and a bit ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, so quite recent and still adjusting to the truth, knowing that I'm ADHD,
yeah,
um, which makes totally sense now. Just looking back at life experiences and it explained a lot. It explained a lot. I think that was a relief to know as well,
yeah.
um, what was going on.
What's going on? It's interesting, isn't it? Because when you said it was a relief, what were the things that it helped you understand that were going on?
But I think it helped me understand myself and also my family
Ah,
because
yes.
my family is full on neurodivergent, but no
Yeah.
one knew about it. And I'm like, if I'm ADHD, I mean, my parents are definitely further on the spectrum than I am. So like, like he just explained a lot and it like brought me a lot of peace as well.
Yeah.
Like being like, oh, so, because I thought something was wrong with me. And it's like internet struggles as well that you can't really explain to people.
Mm.
So before that, I got diagnosed with anxiety, depression, dissociation, like the whole dictionary.
Yeah.
And it never really sat really well with me. I always thought like, no, like, because I'm not that anxious. I think when I was talking to a therapist about, because I said to say like, there were some things that, I was struggling with, and straight away they were like, oh, that's like anxiety. And I was, no, I don't think it is that. Like, I feel like
Mm.
I was misdiagnosed. And that's because, like, I mean, as a neurodivergent person, I live in the future a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it brings me
Yeah.
peace. It's not that I do it like out of fear, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. It's not being stuck in the future vision because I'm stressed out. And, it's more like it's not a worry about the future. It actually brings me peace to think about the future and to
Yeah.
plan it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's why I was like, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. And then once I got properly diagnosed with ADHD, I was, oh yeah, that explains everything. Yeah.
Your story's not that uncommon. I run into lots of clients that have been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD as well. I
A
got that one
big
too.
list. Yeah. Gabe Mate would say that PTSD is a prerequisite to neurodiversity,
Mm,
but actually, we're all brought up by neurodiverse parents. So actually,
yeah.
they're doing their best
A
to,
sort of trauma.
and as a neurodiverse parent myself, I completely understand that because you had things that you battle with, and you don't want to pass those on to your children. There's a genetic component, and
Mm.
there's a nature versus nurture component too. So it is so fascinating. But often when one member of a family gets diagnosed, everyone else starts to look at themselves, and
Yeah.
it can mean a spate diagnosis or not, which can be really helpful. It can shift and change family dynamics. And I've just been writing about this in the book that I'm about to release, that when I got diagnosed, I really didn't say much to anyone. I
Mm.
talked to my family about my son and sort of skipped over me, not saying I hadn't been, but I had, saying I had a mild diagnosis and it wasn't a big deal. So I made really light of it,
Mm.
not realizing that everything I was learning was also teaching me about myself. But I was focused on my son because he was the one who was really struggling to learn, and that seemed critically important. But then my mother discovered that she was Asperger's, and that day shifted everything
Yeah.
because then it gave her and I language to talk about how everything is not black and white because she saw everything as black and white. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
that as grey and no absolutes. And so
Mm.
her and I would have these big fallouts over the no absolutes because she needed everything to be black and white.
Yeah.
And so once we understood it and could see that we had a different lens and perspective on each other, our relationship really grew.
Mm.
And she had the punning and the dark humor. Do you have the punning?
Yeah, I don't like dark humor a lot. Like I
Yeah.
thought that was a French thing because we love dark humor in France, but they're not like
Effectivement.
actually like I love the panic. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I think in other languages, punning takes on a whole new form, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think English or like New Zealand humor is slightly different to French one as well. I
Yeah.
think like we quite satirical. Do you say satirical?
Yeah. Satirical.
Yeah.
Well, I fall in love with France, everything French. I have this romance that's going to last my whole life, I know.
Yeah.
But back to the story about your discovery and how it's opened the doorways for you to understand things. Tell me more about the things that it demystified for you.
I mean, it just explained a lot about me and my internet struggles, because I think because I'm only level 1 on the spectrum of like or autism, like it's like a lot of internet struggle plus mixed with the ADHD component. Like it's very hard to manage internally, but people don't see it. And when I tell sometimes people I'm neurodivergent, they're like, "Oh, but you look normal." Like, you know, when I say, "Oh, I got Asperger," they're like, "Oh, really?" You know, like you look normal. But then it's like, "Oh, I must be doing a good job at like masking and everything." But like even like it brought me a lot of understanding of myself as a kid as well.
Yeah.
Because I think as a kid, I mean, when you're a kid, you haven't learned to mask yet, or like you're still figuring out like social interactions and things like that. And yeah, as a kid, I was like very introverted, and I didn't see the point in social interaction. Like I would just spend my days reading, and like I've had maybe one best friend at a time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that was enough for me social, like having like someone to talk to. But then I didn't see the point of like a lot of friends, or like, you know, at school when everyone wanted to be popular, I never got the concept of that. It was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, I didn't care at all. As soon as I didn't get bullied, I was like, just leave me in my corner reading, you know, I didn't. And also the fact that I was quite like sensitive to like noise and smell.
Noise sensitivity, how did that present itself?
I was dissociating hard as a kid. Like people, like, you know, in class, like they would think, "Oh, she's always daydreaming." It was more than daydreaming. It was literally clocking out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was being like literally, because I was like, you know, too many people, the lights, like
sensory overload.
Yeah, sensory overload. And, you know, if people would describe me as a kid, it would be, "Oh, she was like clocked out," or like, you know, she was not fully present.
Yeah.
Oh, I was very slow to respond to my own name, or like my reaction was really slow.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. My son was very similar. And it's interesting, they thought he might be Asperger's too, but it turned out he wasn't. Just very non-hyperactive ADD. So we had no behavior problems, but we had this kid who was failing to learn.
Yeah.
He was often a daydream and just couldn't. He was living in shambles. And it took quite a while to work out how to manage that. So it was very much that lack of executive function.
Yeah.
But hearing you talking about noise sensitivity also reminds me of my mum. She had industrial level earphones, because back then you didn't have any noise cancelling headphones that you could buy. Not like now where you can, because certain sounds just drove her nuts.
Yeah, same. Like sometimes I still get that too. Like,
is there a specific sound that you really don't like?
I think like just strident sounds. Like this morning I took the train, and you know how they have the blow, how do you call that? Like
the heater?
No, the like
the horn.
Yeah.
Toot.
Like just that, like I'm like, I just want to cover my ears. Like I'm like, but then I don't do it because I'm like, oh, people are gonna think I'm weird, you know? Like, so there's always that afterthought that when I was a kid I didn't have those, like, and I didn't care when I was a kid. I was like, I'm just like dissociating and happy. Like I think like, because when you, at least like neurodivergent for me, like you have an internal world that is so rich, like there's so much imagination. Like I was very at peace just being by myself inside my own world. The outside world was bothering me. Like I was, it's very painful to exist, you know, in the world of senses, if that makes sense.
And sensory overload builds up throughout the day, doesn't it? And then suddenly you just hit a point of no return, and then you have to take some time to recover. Have you read any of the research around highly sensitive people?
Not that much, no.
No, it's quite interesting because it's very similar, and you can build on the highly sensitive people research with the empath work that Dr. Judith Orloff's done. But what they talk about there is the sensory overload literally will lead to shutdown.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I had, and I still have it nowadays as well
Yeah.
sometimes. But
Do you have
yeah,
a way of measuring it now? Can you sort of go, oh, I'm starting to reach my max. I need to check out?
I mean that's the issue as well. I feel like I'm not very attuned to my own body cues, and I think that's also a neurodivergent issue.
Very much
Is
so.
that, for example, like I won't feel hunger or thirst until it reached the point of like I'm starving.
Yeah.
You know, or and it's the same with like everything else. Like unless I hit a wall, I'm not gonna feel anything. If that makes sense. So like
Yeah.
it's really hard to manage. The thing is like I masked so much from like teenagers to like up to now, up to when I was diagnosed, that I got like lost into what my body needed as well. Like there's this aspect of like I need to make others feel comfortable. I need to not take too much space or be too annoying, you know, because I didn't want people to worry for me as well. Because when I dissociate, like you can tell, like I'm literally, and that's, I think that was, is weird for people because when I talk to them, I'll be very bubbly, very open, very, and then out of nowhere, I will shut down.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't want them to think it's their fault or they did something or said something. It's just me who is like overwhelmed. But like, it's not even their fault. Like, it's just like, my body is just like shut down. So it's really hard still to manage like what I do now when I'm in like, you know, networking event or like in big group settings that are a bit overwhelming for me. Like I would just go to the bathroom and I would say like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. And actually I'm just waiting there and just like trying to cool down. And then once I'm ready, I will go back.
Yeah. So
Because like also
really
was I would like, so that's like little techniques like that. Like just like, I still let myself dissociate, but I know that, oh, okay, like I start to be clocked out now. I start to be, you know, not really aware of what's happening around me. So I would just like leave for a bit, recharge, and then go back. Yeah.
Have you tried the calm breathing in that situation? Do you find that effective?
I need to get
When
better
you
at
go into
that.
the bathroom, just taking a
Oh yeah, I
moment to
do.
breathe.
I do
Yeah.
some like
Yeah.
deep breathing because
Yeah.
I feel like it definitely helps me like
Yeah.
be more present and go back to my body.
Reoxygenate your blood. But and the other thing is opening up the vagus nerve, which is your social engagement system, because when you get overwhelmed, we shut it down and we sort of start to slump forward. But actually opening it out runs through our central core.
Interesting.
That can be a good thing to do. So your career, how have you been able to design a lifestyle that suits your neurodiversity?
Oh, I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. Because I feel all my symptoms like exploded once I started my business, like working by myself. Because before, like I had, you know, when you work corporate or somewhere, like you have this structure given to you that you try to follow.
Yeah.
And as exhausting as it is, like it also helped being like more functional in some ways. But then like once I started to work for myself, like I was, oh great, like I can hyper focus and do my thing for hours. I can work at any time of the day.
Yeah.
And I thought like, oh my gosh, this is great. But after a while, I exhausted myself like to burnout because I was like, this is like, because at least when I was working somewhere to be okay, it's 5 p.m. you go home now. I really okay, I go home. But like what I didn't like in a corporate setting, for example, is like, you know, all the meetings, all of that cut you hyper focus.
Yeah.
And so sometimes like I would find my focus at 11 a.m. Then people go for lunch and I'll be not having lunch with them because I'm too much into my thing. So like I was always a little like always out of sync with people. So once I started to work for myself, I was, oh great, like I can walk the way I want to. Like I have no one to tell me when to stop, when to start.
I love that you went and did your business from Bali for a while and you're heading off to
that was so good.
and then you went and did that amazing mission in Africa. Tell us about that.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was, I mean, I was very overwhelmed when I was there, to be honest, because it's like
that would have been sensory
overload to the max. But yeah, that was very fascinating because I love like meeting new people and understand people. Like I love like so you know, I was in the slums for like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that.
Well, tell the audience what you did.
Oh my God, okay. So I went to volunteer in Nairobi in the slums. And so I was because I do like a social media as a living for the businesses. I was, I'm gonna bring my skill to an organization there and like try to capture like people's stories and create content and all of that. But I was so unprepared to like the reality of what it was gonna be. I mean, I knew it would be tough to witness, but also the fact that I stayed like in the slums, I was literally living there. I think like I wasn't prepared like I was very overwhelmed by everything.
Mm.
But that was such a great experience. Like I met amazing people, very resilient people. Like, oh my God, it made me feel a lot of emotions, like feeling how privileged I was as well to be born in a rich country and then to move to New Zealand to have all those opportunities. Because when you look at their life, like, I mean, people are born and die in the slums and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, even if it's temporary relief with volunteers or like organization, the problems is like, it's so huge. It's so much to do there. And the overpopulation as well. Like, yeah, very difficult. But yeah, that was a great experience though. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved what you did, and I thought it was an incredible thing that you reached out and did that. And then to me, that was an example of someone making a freedom choice and stepping into an alternate way of living, because it took a bold person to go that far from home on a mission on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my relation to risk as well is a little different to normal. I mean, when I came here at 18 as well, like, I wasn't scared. Like, once I arrived and then I realized, like, oh, yeah, it's going to be more difficult than I thought. Like, then I started to freak out. But, like, I don't have this, like, I just get excited by change as well. I'm very ADHD, because at some point I get bored and I need change because otherwise I go crazy.
Yeah. So I really relate to what you're saying about risk. So I've been able to, fortunately, throughout my career, carve out a lifestyle that had a high level of risk that was reasonably healthy risk. And then I discovered that my brain worked better when I'd been out skiing or wakeboarding or doing something really physical as well. So I started to integrate that into my lifestyle, knowing that those things would be good for me and they'd help my cognition light up more consistently, because I was always battling the brain fog. And one of the things I love about running my own business, and I actually have a team that's ADHD as well, that is that we can work when we feel that our brains are on form, which is often in the morning, the first part of the day. And then the second part of the day, from about 3 o'clock onwards, we try and structure it so we do different things. So I'd rather start early and then finish early than stay up late in hyperfocus. And I have historically, when I was younger, when I didn't understand what I was doing, I would hyperfocus all night.
Yeah, same. But then you feel exhausted and then
burnt out.
Yeah. So that's the issue I had. Like if I mean, I'm still trying to balance things out. I'm still trying to give myself some structure because the like autism side of me, like it's weird because having both conditions, you live with contradictions as well. Like the like autism side wants like routine and a plan and follow, like it wants like doing the same thing over and over again to feel safe and like not overwhelmed. But then ADHD is like, oh, I'm bored now, like I need a dopamine hit, or like I'm gonna hyper focus on something and then forget to eat and I forget to drink, and then you're exhausted and then you're totally out of sync, and then the like autism side get exhausted. So it's like it's really difficult to manage both, I feel.
Yeah, that's a really good description of what it feels like to manage both.
Yeah.
And as I hear you talk, I think, oh gosh, maybe I have both as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And I think you've already diagnosed me, haven't you?
Yeah. It was like, yeah.
Because I love ritual and routine, and but I love risk and I love being spontaneous.
Yeah,
and breaking out
to
of
concile both.
Yeah. I think there's also something about age too. So in your more senior years, you're more inclined to fall into the desire for routine than the crazy adventurous, travel thirsty futurist of my youth. I'm a little bit more settled now, and actually, I thought I would want to travel a lot at this point in my life, because I traveled lots when I was in my 20s, and I thought I'm going to travel both ends. And now I'm finding that there's part of me that doesn't find it quite so adventuresome anymore, because when I was in my 20s and traveling around Europe and places like that, there was no wars. There were no massive things going on. Now I look at it and I go, can I really be bothered navigating with that? And part of me goes, I'd like to, and I'm not scared of it, but I just can't be bothered because I've seen it.
And I've already done it. So it's kind of, I think that's the thing with ADHD as well. Like once it's done, it's done. You know, like you don't really want to go back to a place you've already been. Or like
that's right.
It's like all these, the new, like the novelty element to it.
Yeah.
Because I love novelty, but also I love routine. It's like, how do you do both? Like, and it's heaps of things like that, like in my life that are very contradictory. And it's like trying to balance both. Yeah.
I think that's such a really good topic to explore, that balancing of both when you're AuDHD. How do you do that? Talk to me about medication. Do you use medication? How have you found it if you do?
No, I haven't got it yet. Like I wanted to get it this year at the GP because New Zealand changed the law. Now you can get it from the GP.
Yeah.
But because I'm moving to Brisbane, like they told me I can't bring my prescription overseas.
So you may as well.
So they were like, oh, just wait to be there and get diagnosed there. But I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to be on the list. Because I feel it's really, like, I've been trying to take like supplements and stuff.
Yeah.
But I always forget to take them as well. Other ADHD, like just forget about it. So
the irony. Oh, the irony. So it's interesting. The medication's a really big topic, and I'll just say a few things here about it. So when I was younger and I was diagnosed, I did take the medication, and I got quite addicted to Ritalin. And not that I was taking more than my required dose, but I was kind of living on this emotional roller coaster where I would take Ritalin during the day and then I'd crash in the evening. And because I was going through a lot of transition, it probably wasn't optimal for me at that time. But what it is good for is establishing routine and navigating neurotypical systems. So when you can design a lifestyle that doesn't require you to navigate neurotypical systems all day long, so our education system, most workforces, but when you're freelancing and consulting, you can design around your neurodiversity and optimize it.
Yeah.
And I now take a very mild dose of medication on days that I need it.
Yeah.
And rather than the medication driving me, I drive the medication. But it's taken me a while to figure it out. And I've got a lot of clients that take the medication and then clients who really don't like to take the medication. One of the things I figured out about my program is it's kind of designed to allow you to optimize your lifestyle and come off medication if that's what you choose. But equally, I'm not saying that the medication is bad for you, because what the medication does for us is it speeds up our neurotransition. What I have discovered, though, is that when you allow yourself to have a little patch of brain fog and actually live through it, when you get to the other side, you'll have a huge creative spurt.
But that's the thing. I think it's nothing wrong with our brain. Like something we need to cloak at, but to come back even better. That's just the way we function.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have to perform in a neurotypical world, it's like we have to adapt to their systems.
Yeah.
And even working for yourself, I mean, there is some extent to where you can build your own lifestyle, because there is still like, client to answer to. There are still like times you get really busy and work is work. You still have to get it done. But so I find it like my ADHD love working for myself, but the like autism side doesn't like that much. Because like I struggle to give myself time off work, like structure. Because ADHD is like, oh, great, I can, start work early, finish early, or I can start work later and finish like 10 p.m. if I want to.
Yeah.
But then like I get burnout on the other end, if that makes sense. Because at least when I was working for someone, I love that I was starting work at exactly the same time every day.
Yeah.
Like that gave me so much structure. And then I would go to the gym before and I was like on clock, and that was so good for me. But then my ADHD was like, oh my gosh, like boring, like same day every day, like it's So it's learning to live with it. To be honest, I haven't figured out yet. Like I haven't nailed it yet. Like I'm still learning how to manage it best. Without medication as well. So like at the moment it's a little wild, because I feel like I would do so much better on medication.
Yeah. It's interesting. It is a balancing act, isn't it? And hearing you talk about this both sides of you that interchange, and that part of you that loves routine, but also that part of you that likes adventure and risk
Yeah.
is intriguing, because the part of you that likes adventure and risk is the part that loves to stimulate your brain, that's dopamine hungry. What are some of the things that you do to get that dopamine hit?
So self-medication, I would take like caffeine pills.
Mm.
Like I realized, because when I was a kid, obviously I didn't drink coffee or anything.
Yeah.
And then when I started to drink coffee, I realized that my shutdowns were less, or like I would have enough energy that I won't shut down. Like, you know, I was feeling less exhausted. So I started to rely on caffeine pills, which is probably bad for my heart and everything else. But like, that's the one trick that I found that like works for me.
Some of the entry-level meds that they supply in New Zealand,
because it's a stimulant, right?
is caffeine related. Yeah.
Yeah. So I figured out that caffeine works really good for me. And it's interesting because I grew up seeing my mom drinking coffee all day, every day. Like she was so dependent on coffee. Because otherwise I think she was too exhausted to even function. So coffee was definitely something that helped.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? Because when you think about the old model of Coca-Cola, where it was actually cocaine
Wow.
and coffee.
Oh.
What a wonderful combination.
Perfect for ADHD people.
But so I think that in the early days, it's probably how ADHD people self-medicate. Was drinking Coca-Cola, but coffee was the one that was the precursor to that. And I think, you know, I know myself when I was younger, I'd drink probably 10 to 12 cups of coffee a day. Wow. Now I limit myself to 2. And now that I found balance, and it's taken me years to work out balance, I don't need that. And I only need ADHD medication when I've got to navigate neurotypical systems, and a very, very, very mild dose. But everyone's different. No two neurodiverse people are the same.
And that's the thing. It's you know, you could have the same diagnosis and be fully different. Even when I look at my sisters who are definitely on the spectrum as well. Like I know they have a different flavor of mine. Like I think my younger sister is very similar to me. Like I think she has both conditions as well. But then my older sister, so she was there when I got the diagnosis. She read the report and she cried because she was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm too neurodivergent." Like she was, I recognize myself in it. But I know that she's more on the ADHD end. Like she definitely has a different flavor of it. Even my younger sister, like, you know, we're very similar, but on some stuff, like she can cope differently, or she has like better mechanism than I do. And on other things, like I do better on some things, or like I can cope better. Yeah. Or like depending of like what triggers you as well. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've learned do work for you?
It's a hard question because I'm still learning to embrace who I am, and that, you know, who I am is not wrong, because I really felt something was wrong with me for a long time. And that was really hard to communicate it to people, my struggles, because I felt no one would get me. Like people would think, oh, you know, just like, you know, like I felt like, because like my neurodivergence and yours as well, like it's not that we're not disabled, like we can function to some extent. So it's like, it's an invisible struggle that people don't understand. And I think when you've been masking your whole life, you lose touch of like who you are really to the core and what you actually need. So I'm seeing that process of uncovering what are my needs and how can I cope with it in a healthy way that is also like acceptable in a neurotypical world. At some point, and I think a lot of people get that as well, when they first get diagnosed, the symptoms like skyrocket because they start to unmask and they start to like have a feel of like who they really are. And I did that, and then I felt like I went too hard onto the unmasking, and people started to notice it, and then it made me feel bad. So I started to like, okay, I need to dose it. Like I can't just fully unmask out of nowhere, and I need to still find those strategies that like I can still function in a neurotypical world while being true to myself and like accepting my limitations as well, and having, you know, communicating my boundaries better as well, being like, oh, you know, saying no sometimes because I feel exhausted and I don't want to push myself, like, or leaving an event early because like I just can't anymore. Like to not burn myself trying to fit in too much as well. Yeah.
So the unmasking journey is a journey. I've
Oh, yeah.
only been publicly unmasking for about a year. And prior to that, it was only close friends and family who understood and that I shared my diagnosis with. Because of the career I had as, in HR, I knew that there was a lot of conscious and unconscious bias. I'm really heartened that in today's world, it's accepted way more. However, in reality, I'm not sure that it translates necessarily the way that we would like it to, and we've probably got a very long way to go. As Maria and Mag just said, definitely in our education system, we're struggling to actually have enough knowledge to know how to engage with neurodiverse learners. But I think in our workforces as well,
it's terrible.
Really difficult to
really bad.
Because
it's
to
so
actually
much
work out.
And corporate politics are that's hell on earth to me. Like, I don't know how you did to do all your career in corporate before and like being able to survive in it, because I find it really hard. Like, that's one thing I don't miss is the corporate politics, and because I don't understand why. And the small talks and the and people lie as well. Have you realized that's something I struggled with?
I really struggled with people lying.
They would lie on their workload, or we do a meeting and they'll be, it's gonna take me X amount of time to do it, and because I know they work, I would be like, they'll be lying to the manager, or to me that's lying. They and they would be like inflating their workload to seem busy. And I'm like, I don't understand why. So I would feel
that's fascinating. I know I worked most of my career in SME, but I've done some time in big corporates like IBM, for example, and a few others doing projects and as an employee, and I found myself really flummoxed by lying. And being really confronted by it when I recognized that someone was lying to me, or even accusing me of lying. And I think, how can you do that? That's just not something I can do. I'm not very good at that. I'm not. I can't do it.
And you say you have a moral compass as well. That is probably more than the neurotypical. It's more the black and white, I guess. Being those are the rules. Those are the what they're committed to. And it's really hard for me to cross that line when I said
So tell me, that's really fascinating hearing that come out and that side of you. And I've got so many stories over the course of my career where I've just been flummoxed by lying, and where I've just been completely appalled at uncovering things like fraud and other sorts of things that were just staring out at me. I remember the first job I had at the Reserve Bank, I came across some fraud in the note office, and then when I confronted it, I got moved quite quickly to another department, and I was just shocked. I was like, how can this be happening? And then I discovered that it seemed to be a pattern that happened to me a lot, where I'd go somewhere and I'd spot some kind of crazy anomaly, and it wasn't necessarily my job to spot that. But then when I dug underneath the surface, I'd uncover something that was just shocking. And I was too young to work out what to do with it, because I would march into someone with authority and explain it to them, to find that they reacted really badly in most cases, rather than taking it on board and coming up with a solution, which is what I would have thought they would have been interested in doing. They weren't really that interested in it at all. In fact, they wanted to sweep it under the carpet.
There's so much fluff as well. So much useless fluff, useless meetings, the small talks, super draining. I don't understand the small talks. And also when you try to get a bit deeper with coworkers, to understand actually who they are to the core, which I think that should be the norm, because we're supposed to work as a team. How am I supposed to help you if I don't know your strengths and weaknesses? How are we supposed to help each other if there's no level of vulnerability that we understand each other to a level that we can help each other? So all that small fluff, that small talk is I don't care what you're watching on Netflix. I don't care that you ate ice cream with your kids on the weekend. It's can we talk about something real, and useful?
That's related to the work we're doing. But so that small talk thing I can really relate to, but I've trained myself to do small talk.
But also, I mean, that's something I'm learning now, because I feel if I'm not interested, I'm not gonna talk about. It's really hard for me to pass that And I was talking to a friend who also has ADHD, and I was like, how do you do, you know? And she told me that because I tend to overshare as well. And I think
yes, I was about to ask you about it.
That was a bad thing in corporate life, because everyone is so careful about their reputation, and like, you know, it's bad to show weaknesses or whatever. And so like I will overshare about everything, you know? And then I will be, oh damn, like people actually using that against me. What the heck, you know? Because when I overshare, it's more like trying, I think unconsciously for me as well, to show that like I'm a safe space for you too to overshare, because that's how I connect with people. You know?
To me, that's also how I connect. And I think that I really honestly believe that our vulnerability is our strength, because when we're able to be vulnerable and real with each other, that's how we're able to support each other. And we're not designed to be rocks and islands. We're actually designed to work really well together. And we know that the new model of servant leadership, or the new exponential leader, actually works more effectively by getting to know people and bringing out their strengths. And actually, you can scaffold your weaknesses off your strengths. Like, for example, I have dyscalculia, so I can never remember formulas, particularly GST. It drives me batty. And I know you can get a GST calculator, but I can't even remember to go and get one, because I just plug it into a spreadsheet and I get Xero to do it for me, and so it's fine. But, you know, there's always, you find hacks around these things and ways to do them. But I didn't know for years and years and years that that's what I had, but any of the CFOs or the finance teams that worked with me would just know that that's actually, she's terrible with numbers. But I know what a margin is, and I know what profit is, and I can look at big picture of numbers, and I can generate revenue, and I can actually achieve results really effectively. But don't give me the detail of the numbers. My mind just goes, la, 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 I can't cope with it.
You're like better as well, like like a vision and systematizing thing, or like, you know, breaking, because I'm good at that too, like joining the dots. And like just like a simplifying systems. And that's why I can't deal with fluff, because I'm like, that's useless. Like, let's just go straight to the point and simplifying thing. And like, you know,
So I always see this. I did my master's in education, majoring in careers counseling. And I think that the kind of careers that we can design and lifestyles we can design are the things that are actually sometimes so obvious we miss them. And so that part of you that doesn't like fluff, that doesn't like small talk, that's the part of you that can actually design and improve a better system, because you're focused on the outcome and the results. And the part of you that's using the thing that you're naturally averse to actually is driven to make it different. I remember working with the most ADHD person I've ever met, which was Dr. David Grove. He was -14 on the old TOVA test, which is extremely ADHD. And he designed a methodology called clean language. He went on to do emergent clean space, and he kept evolving and creating new ways of helping people get unstuck, really. But he could not handle people's content, their psychological content. And so he was driven by avoiding unpackaging the actual content, because he knew the solution wasn't there. It was actually in the psychological boundary around the content. And so he found a methodology for helping people navigate through that to actually implode those spaces that they were getting stuck inside of. You know, so you get stuck inside of a perspective, you know, which might be, I can't do this, or I'm never going to achieve that. And once you're locked inside that perspective, it's hard for you to step out of it. And so he created clean language to stop therapists from transferring their judgment onto the client, but also to enable the client to step through and see things from different perspectives, which was really powerful and really, really effective. But actually, when you looked at him, you could see that he was really motivated to do this, because A, he wanted to see people get breakthroughs and become unstuck, but B, he couldn't handle hearing their content and their story. And he knew once you started to hear it, you became part of that story. And that meant therapeutically you were unable to help resolve it. So he was -14, and I think Carliano, he would be ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
I am diagnosing him posthumously, but I think, you know, he probably would have been -14 as well, because he was also a genius at helping people unpackage their stuff. But he knew the answer wasn't in the content either. It was in looking at the archetypes that they were living out of and getting stuck in. And he used to throw parties and ask people to come as their their inferior function or their dark side.
Oh, I love that.
You've always wanted to do one of those.
Yeah,
So who would you come as?
I don't know. Like you mean my dark archetype, or like,
yeah. Who would you be?
do you mean as someone and like a figure well known as well? Or
It
like
could be. It could be. You could just pick a
representing-
character, or you could pick an example of that dark archetype.
I don't know. Like what would you do? Like,
I think one of the ones I'd come up to would be a Pollyanna. I'd have to turn up as Pollyanna.
Pollyanna.
Yeah, Pollyanna. Oh, because of the French, you won't know who Pollyanna is. So Pollyanna is a childhood story character, and she looks a bit like Pippi Longstockings, and she's got plaited red hair, and her hair goes up like this, and she dances around, and she's ridiculously positive.
Yeah. French, yeah. I forgot now, but yeah.
She doesn't see problems that are screaming towards her. She doesn't see that this is not, you can't make this work. She's just like so gung-ho that she will try to make everything work, despite the fact that obviously it can't.
Yeah, that's really similar to what you're saying as well. Like, there is a really cool like question I like to ask people is that is there like a character you've watched or like when you were a kid or even now that you love, that you like, I love that character, and that could be any type of archetype, and it's really a reflection of who you are.
That's right. And so who's yours?
So, do you watch American Dad, or do you know American Dad?
Yeah, I know American Dad.
You know the like the alien,
yeah,
a Roger in English.
Yeah.
Like I relate to him so much because he changed every time. You know how he's always like with new wigs, new thing, but as soon as he comes home, he's just his alien self. And so to me, that's represent well the lifestyle I would like to have, in the sense of like I get to be home to have that constant, to strip myself and be fully myself at home. But then I get to experience different lifetime every day.
Yeah.
Like dressing up, like putting wigs on, trying different characters, like having that dopamine hit of like trying something new every day, but also having that constant that when I get home, my family's here, you know, the routine is the same. I can strip down and be the alien that I am, you know? So that would be like the character I would dress up as if I was.
I love it.
I don't know how I would look like myself as a Roger. Like I would put myself like grey paint or something. I don't know. With a bald cap or something like that. Yeah.
Oh well, I'm really sad that you're heading to Brisbane, but I'm also heartened by the fact that it's not a very expensive airfare to go either way.
Yeah,
so I can come and visit. And you can come back and stay and visit us.
Yeah.
It's been awesome hearing your story and just having good banter with you. It's so easy to talk to you, and
thank you.
I think that's
I
one
love
of
talking to you.
the joys of neurodiversity, isn't it? Is that we can just literally start riffing on a
and
tangent,
you just go on tangent
and
like
bang
that
all over the place.
Yeah, because I feel like 90% of my friends are actually, because before I knew I was neurodivergent, I thought that I had a special soul connection, and then I was like, oh no, they're just ADHD like me. You know, it's not a soul. I mean, it could be a soulmate too, but it's also like, oh, they just have a similar brain. You know?
Yeah. Well, I do think there is something about, you know, actually ADHD and the relationships we choose, because I think when we're younger, we can tend to choose people who balance us out, who are our opposites. And then as we mature, we tend to go for people who are more parallel to us so that we're complementary. That's not always the case though. But that's the next book I want to write about ADHD and relationships. So I'm really fascinated to talk further about that. Is there any final thing you would like to share today that would be relevant to our audience on ADHD and leadership? Because you lead your own consultancy. I've watched you grow it from small beginnings when your dad was staying in my Airbnb and you were telling me what you were going to do.
My very first client, actually.
I know. It's a privilege, and I'm glad I still get to work with you now.
Yeah.
I've watched it grow, and I've watched you go from strength to strength, and you've got a virtual assistant team now, and you're smashing all the goals, right?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like a last word, what that would be. Well, I guess is that it never stops. You keep evolving, you keep learning about yourself. So to not be too like stuck on a destination, like I have to heal from my neurodivergent, because there's nothing to heal. It's more to uncover and to understand and to love and appreciate, and just being better at communicating your needs as well.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
To know you're ashamed of who you are and the needs that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the very process of unmasking is stepping into your true self, which
Yes.
means
It's a
that you really
journey.
can embrace your capabilities.
Yeah.
And I like to call it star shaped. So I'm not a square peg in a round hole. I'm a star shaped
Yeah.
peg, which means that if you try and put me in that round hole, I'm going to create sort of big, huge chunks around the side of it. And then that sort of indent part of my star is just going to leave a lot of airspace. So I'm not going to fit.
Yeah. Oh, same. I never
Mm.
fit it anywhere.
There's a model in the States called twice exceptional, where we're exceptionally good at one thing and exceptionally poor at something else. And yeah, when you're masking, you're hiding the things you're poor at. You're also hiding the things you're exceptionally good at. When you take the mask off, you are no longer trying to be well-rounded. You're just allowing yourself to be exceptionally good at this thing.
Yeah.
And using that to scaffold the areas where you're exceptionally poor.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And you know what? I realized that I had those extremes already because did I told you like the first indication we had that our family was like definitely a little neurodiverse or like we didn't know the word back then.
Yeah.
But so one of my sisters was like, is very gifted, very smart, like musician, genius, everything.
Wow.
And so her teachers wanted her to do like a IQ test or like because she was, you know, she had issues also, like she was very emotional, like she struggled with sensitivities, like very empath, like, you know, she was crying, like she had a lot of big emotions that she couldn't manage.
Yeah.
So they said to do some test on her, and then like she ended up scoring like insanely high, like top 1% of her, like in France, of course. Yeah. And then so my mom wanted us, the other kids, like me and my other sister, to do the same test. And at first I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't, because I didn't have as much, or at least I didn't care as much other, I guess. Like I was more, it was more an internal struggle I was living. I wasn't really good at like showing it. So it's not like I need to know about myself like when I was younger. But anyway, so I did the test and like same thing, I scored really high in the same percentage. But like when I got the result, I was, wow, that's crazy, because I was insanely good at some stuff. And some of the stuff I was like retarded. Like I literally like was like, wow, like I'm below the average, like, you know, like I had like a dyscalculia and then a dyspraxia. I would struggle so much in some areas, but then instantly good at others as well.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and you're right with like the like a masking is that when you try to mask your weaknesses, because your weaknesses and your strength are correlated, you also mask your strength, and then you can't, you know, be your best self pretty much. Yeah,
exactly right. I remember every time I've had to sit a psychometric test, unless I falsify it to try and break it, and in my role, that's sometimes what I've been doing, playing around with tools to see if they can be falsified and then seeing how accurate they are. To me, all psychometric tests are fundamentally flawed because I break them when I do them normally, because I come out as being absolutely Mensa genius on verbal reasoning, but pattern recognition is reasonably average. But then anything that's got a mathematical component, I'm a dunce.
Oh,
and so they kind of go, this person is not representing themselves honestly. And so I have to kind of almost falsify in order to come through as looking like I've got a balanced profile.
But and you can't be balanced for, you know, you're just an extreme.
Yeah.
And you can feel it as well in the personality of people for neurodivergent. There's really like super like extra, or like they're very flamboyant, or like there's something very like that takes space. And like it's usually quite extreme, you know? And because neurotypical to me, when I picture it, is like very plain, very the same, very stable. And neurodivergent is more like sparkles everywhere all the time, in all directions.
Which is why I like the analogy of a star.
Yes.
Because it's we sparkle.
Yeah,
we sparkle when we're in our strengths. And yeah.
And we also like shaped in a way that it doesn't really fit anywhere.
No. And anecdotally, that first program the public program that I ran that you attended, because you were doing the social media for it, and where we serendipitously ended up with a room full of ADHD people, but we didn't know that. We weren't even marketing to ADHD at the time. You know, I called that flow star. And I thought, I don't know why I'm calling it star. I don't understand, other than the tattoo I have from my meeting with David Bowie to remind me, you know, that he died of a star-shaped cancer on his was it his liver or his kidney? I can't remember actually. It was one of those. And he released this album 3 days before he passed away, called Black Star.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yes, I remember that.
I really love that key piece, Black Star. I'm not a rock star. I'm a black star. And
It was probably neurodivergent as well.
I think so.
I bet he
Because
was.
when I met him that night in the Soho Club all those years ago
that's
in
so cool that you
London,
met him.
we just started talking like we'd known each other forever.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel any sort of weird kind of halo glowishness going on. He talked to me like I was a normal human. I had no issues talking to him, and we just riffed all over the place and had a great conversation. And part of me was going, shouldn't I be a bit overwhelmed? I'm talking to David Bowie, but I was just transfixed by the conversation. Yeah. It took me off on a tangent that allowed me to see that I could design my own future, and gave me hope. And he reconnected me to the big picture part of me that I'd lost because I was in a terrible crisis state because my marriage was ending and I didn't want it to end. Yeah. And so I was in a deep grief, and he asked me a future question, and then we just started talking. And he knew my marriage was ending because the guy who'd taken me out to cheer me up had told him at the bar. And so he was actually doing a lovely thing for me, which was super nice. Yeah. Because it really had a huge impact on my life. And I often wonder what would have happened if I didn't have that weird encounter that allowed me to shift and think differently. And then even inside me, I knew, I've got to look at the future because that's actually where my strength is. And yours too. Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm so future focused that sometimes it's overwhelming for people around me. So if you look at all my dating past, all the boyfriends I had, they would always say like the one cons I had was like maybe that I was too future focused, and that was giving them like that was annoying because they didn't have the clarity I needed. So I would always ask for clarity. They don't have it. No. And it pisses me off because I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a 5, 10 years, 25-year plan? Like, it's mate, that's so normal. So normal. It's like, wait, where are you going? Like, are you just living life like without knowing what you're gonna do next? Like, so weird. Like, so crazy to me. Like, wow. Yeah. It's one way to get nowhere is to be on a road to nowhere, isn't it? Yeah. So I know it's really quite fascinating, isn't it? And do you find that you can spot future trends and things before they even come along, before it's public information? Well, that's the thing as well. Like, you mean trends in terms of like pop culture, or like trends in terms of just it could be across any area? I mean, I do love like conspiracy, and I love to like theorize on so many things, right? And I love like sci-fi things, or like things that make me think like, that could be a potential future that we get to live as humanity, right? And I love to do that, and I'm pretty good at like noticing patterns or noticing like, because history just repeats itself as well. Yeah. So it's always like like a pendulum, it's always swings super far and then it goes the other end. Like it's always like that. And I think like just history keep like repeating because like people don't learn, but which was also like a frustration, as someone who see the patterns. Yeah, that's frustrating. But in terms of trends, like normal trends, I don't follow trends at all. Like I struggle to understand the hype of many things. Oh, I don't like the hype, but I can see where they're going to go. Yeah. So colors, for example, if you look at interior design, we went through a patch where everything had to be beige and cream and off-white, and then it went to bright colors, and now it's changing again. I can normally pick the trend before it hits because it's like a pattern. Yeah. We've been in this one too long. Because like trends, right? Yeah, shift all the time. Yeah. But then it's like, why do people need to follow trends for their house, Yeah. Exactly. I don't understand that. Yeah. I do know that it exists and it's definitely real. And I think it's probably practical too, because they're wanting to create something that is of value and invest in their property. And so they're thinking about the resale. That makes sense. Even if they're not going to sell it, you just never know how life's going to throw you a curveball. So you may as well keep it really modern, or whatever the era is that you relate to. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing today. It's been really great. Thank you. Yeah, that was really good with you. And thank you for me. Hopefully we get you on the podcast again in a year's time to talk about the further learnings that you've had. Yeah. Because your diagnosis is so new. Yeah. I thought it would be really great to get you to share how it's helped you
It probably will be on the
some of
vet,
the
so I can talk
challenges.
about that experience.
Yeah, that would be good to hear you talk about how medications shifted things for you.
Yeah, because I think my case is complex as I mean, once they told me, oh, yeah, for meds, you need to, go see a psychologist and stuff. They were like, oh, because your case is complex, because you have both conditions, like we have to dose it in a certain way. So you like autism doesn't like autism even more.
Yeah, right. Very real.
So that would be quite interesting to experience on it and see if I become more like autistic and if my ADHD gets more managed. I don't know. That would be quite Well,
I think get yourself a really good prescribing psychologist so that that person has a great reputation and doesn't just fling something at you and not check in to make sure it's working well.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sandy.